What's happening? I'm Jon Kiper. This is Jon Kiper Show. We are live. We're doing a special musical episode of the show with my buddy Rainnor here of the band Marvel Prone. You may have seen them performing in the Seacoast area or Manchester or other parts of New England. And he also is one of my former employees. So Rainnor, welcome to the show. We're going to talk about being a musician in New Hampshire and just being a musician in general. And, you know, I used to be in a band and we used to perform and play around, and it was hard. It's hard. You're lugging all the gear and you got to pay rent, and then you frequently don't get paid.
Yeah.
How's your experience been being a musician in New Hampshire?
Well, thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it. This is really cool. It's really tough when you're trying to make it as a musician in New Hampshire, especially New Hampshire, just because there isn't as many metropolitan areas, and there are only a few like decent venues to play at for musicians that are trying to get their original music out there. So when you compound that with like the cost of living in New Hampshire, which is especially high compared to other parts of the country, and then paying student loans and all that stuff, it's just incredibly hard to fully commit to making music like a full-time thing. My goal personally is to like be gigging 4 or 5 nights a week, and because that's what I would be able to, match what I'm making at my daytime job. But
yeah,
pretty much most musicians that play in this area that want to make music a serious thing, they still have to work a day job. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I was playing shows, I think, in the early 2010s, and it's kind of funny because you do a lot of work. If you're putting up the posters and you're making the Facebook invite and doing all this stuff, and then hopefully your girlfriends and your friends show up at the show, and usually at the beginning of your experience they show up a lot. Your family's showing up. Yeah. And then after it's been a couple of months or, a couple dozen gigs or something, right, suddenly the girlfriends stop showing up, your buddy's already seen you play. And that's kind of, I think, the part where a lot of bands just kind of, fizzle out because they're like, right, you sort of have to push through. I would assume. I mean, I fizzled out too, but you got to play, my band played this one gig at this bar that's closed now in Plastow, and it was really funny because the bar was right above a fried fish place. Okay. So the whole place just smelled like fried fish. And it was a Friday night, and we had heard from somebody else that you got paid $200 to play this gig no matter what. So we're like, let's just do it. And obviously we invited some friends, but it was in Plastow, kind of far from here. I mean, not that far, but no one came. And there was maybe like 6 or 7 guys at the bar, and we were playing in a room that was like next to the bar. So not even really in the same room as them. Mm-hmm. And we played the first set. One of the guys walked in and watched us for like maybe 5 minutes, and that was it. Yeah. And after the first set, the woman who owned the place came over and she was like, "Hey, I was going to give you $200, but I'll give you $100 and you can just leave right now." And the guy I was playing with was like trying to argue with her. I'm like, buddy, let's just go. Let's call it a night. Like, I'm sick of smelling like fried fish, and I also don't think anyone else is coming to this bar tonight. And it was brutal. What was the worst gig you ever played?
Similar to that. Like anytime there's a show where there's just no one there aside from like a couple people, and like it's just the bands watching and the bartenders, it really is hard to put on a good show for when no one's there, and it's very hard to get people out to shows. There was a show that I played in Keene State at this bar. I forget the name of it, but it was actually worse than that because, no discrimination, but it was just a bunch of old people, and it was a college bar. So we went to this college bar expecting it was going to be a college kids, but we were playing earlier around like 6 p.m., and so it was just a bunch of boomers there, and we were just like, and they were dancing, man. They were having such a great time, which somehow just made it that much worse.
It seemed worse that they're
this
enjoying.
Is like, oh my gosh, all these old people are just having so much fun right now. No hate to old people, but like it was. I was just hoping it was going to be a younger crowd, and that was just and so yeah, it's very hard to get our peers out to shows and stuff like that. And the key really is to invite your friends, invite your family, time and time again, and just, keep that going and try to, get gigs that they're really going to enjoy coming to. And I think that's where it starts. And then it has to break off from there. You have to bring enough people to your shows that other people want to come to your shows just because there's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
So
it is kind of funny to me because New Hampshire is an older state. I mean, one of the second oldest states in the country. So like by the nature of New Hampshire, there are more older folks here. Right. And, it's kind of funny because we've seen this thing happen with the Stone Church over the last probably a couple of years where the biggest nights they have are the Grateful Dead cover bands.
Right.
And, it's a lot of older folks that were Deadheads, they knew, like, saw Grateful Dead a million times or whatever. And it's kind of funny because, I would like to see more original bands playing original music, of course, like maybe inspired by the Grateful Dead, but maybe not exactly the Grateful Dead. Yep. But at the same time, you can't argue with business. Right. they do the shows that people come and spend money for. And I think that's like one of the most frustrating things is I've had so many friends. Like I had one friend that was in this band. They were playing. I liked the original music. It was good. But their most profitable gig every month or every week was this Sunday night cover band set that they would do in Boston. And they'd play all indie rock cover bands that were sort of bands that they were influenced by, but none of their originals, And they were like, they were just pulling their hair out because they're like, it's so annoying that it's like almost doing what you want to do for a living, but like, just a little bit removed enough and that it's like frustrating.
Right. The most profitable band I've been a part of is a band called River Sang Wild.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of restaurant gigs and that sort of stuff to sort of maintain. And that actually becomes a, pretty rewarding, lucratively.
Which is better than working in a stupid restaurant, right?
Right, yeah. Which I still do.
Yeah, right. I guess I would rather play cover songs. Let me get this completely out there. I would rather play cover songs to boomers than work in a restaurant.
Right.
But obviously, the next part would be playing original music to a crowd of all ages people,
Right. And then those gigs just don't pay as much for some, and venues usually take a good cut, like good 25% of the door for those gigs, even though they're still getting the bar, and it doesn't really work out fairly for the artist. So this stuff happens all the time. With every venue, this is like a nationwide issue with musicians. And honestly, I think like there used to be a time, not necessarily when I was around, but there used to be a time where smaller artists had a much easier path to opening for bigger artists.
Yeah.
But now we have a real centralized corporation, Live Nation, and Ticketmaster,
running all the venues,
run all the venues and control all the booking agency.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much harder to, say if you want to open for a big act like Mac DeMarco or something like that, you could be a big fish in Boston, and still not be opening for Mac DeMarco. You could be the most popular Boston local band, and you're not going to open up for Mac DeMarco because Live Nation and Ticketmaster has all that planned out for them, and there's no way to get your foot in the door. So it just seems like there's just a very centralized, corporate power in music.
Yeah.
And if like, Steve Albini said, if we can just get rid of Ticketmaster, that would be the last dragon of the music, because a lot of other things have become democratized in the music industry, which is great.
Well, it's definitely one of those things that I was talking about on a TikTok video the other day, where I was like, Republicans sell the idea that less government means more freedom, right? But it actually just means more like corporate control of your life. Like when the government isn't doing like things like stopping monopolies, and putting these big companies like Live Nation in check, which I'm sure that they are in violation of some monopoly laws or some, and I mean, it just seems on its face, it's got to be the fact, the way that they're manipulating a lot of these venues and being like really the only game in town. There was a time when the federal government would have broken up a company like that. Yeah. And it's just, it's like another way that like money just like flows to the 1% that are able to pull it off. Yeah. And another little thing I think people don't realize that often is that frequently when you dig into the biography of somebody like with a one-hit wonder or a lot of these, you know, bands that sort of come out of nowhere. You do some clicking and you realize, oh, this guy's dad works for that, you know, that studio or this production company, or this guy's mom is like this famous actress, or this, you know what I mean? And you dig and you're like, oh, these are all like rich kids, you know, whose parents were willing to fund their whole careers.
Exactly. That's the only way that you can like put like a serious investment of time and money into a musical project. And sometimes it pays off where you can actually get a, you know, hit song or whatever. But, you know, it's rich kids who can afford really nice equipment and stuff like that. They can record in studios and all that stuff and all the time. And, you know, my dad, I'll even admit it, like my dad helped me record, you know, with Steve Albini. Yeah. And that was a really, you know, great opportunity for me. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without his help. I was originally going to pay for all of it myself and with the band, but then my band broke up. And so I only had a third of what I needed for the studio session. My dad really had my back. So you can always, you know, the parents do come into play. And so, you know, but like, upper class kids usually have the best shot at making it in the music industry because they can pour a lot more time into it. They don't need to think about getting a career, you know, going or anything. They can buy a bunch of cool music equipment and spend a lot of time and money on their music, promoting it a lot. Like, you know, Facebook, I mean, the
promotion is really like where you can spend a lot of money, you know, and where you sort of, you know, can buy a level of success as long as, you know, there's some demand for your music. Why don't you talk a little bit about Steve Albini and who he was and what it was like recording with him?
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to record with Steve Albini in 2022. And, you know, Steve Albini is absolute legend. You know, he recorded Nirvana's In Utero, the Pixies, and you know, then the break off from the Pixies, the Breeders, and Ty Segall, who's pretty, you know, popular in this area.
Love that guy.
So he's recorded a bunch of incredible bands, and he's one of the like, you know, well, he passed away recently. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Steve Albini.
Yep. But he's one of the last people that was able to, you know, keep a fully maintained analog recording studio where,
that's sweet.
You know, he has tape machines from the 80s, which is apparently the peak of, you know, tape machine era. So he has the best vintage tape machines, the best vintage mixing boards, you know, vintage microphones. So it really was like heaven on earth recording with him. Like,
and the recording quality, it comes off in it. Like it just sounds like legitimate, like vintage 90s alternative rock. And like, I think sometimes people think that they can get that sound by like using, you know, it's kind of funny because like use high tech to sound lo-fi, which I think is so funny. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're spending money to make it sound like it was a tape machine because a tape machine's like too complicated for us to use now. Yeah. Which is not, I mean, tape machines are a wicked pain in the butt. But it ended up being a really good album. And why don't you, for the folks back out there, what was the name of that project? Was Marvel Prone? What was that album?
Yeah. So the album is 11/22.
Like the time, right?
But like the time, 11:22 by Marvel Prone. So like Marvel Comics Accident Prone.
Yeah,
right? Marvel Prone.
And you should check out that album because it's really good. It's especially if you're into vintage sound or if you're audiophile at all, because I think that you can really hear Steve Albini's work. I think it's clear, you know, that it's like it was done by a guy that knew what he was doing, and it was really, I think, frankly, an affordable. I mean, you say your dad helped out, but it wasn't like it was $100,000.
It was $10,000.
$10,000, which like
for 6 days.
It's pretty cool that this guy Steve Albini is willing to record anybody for $10,000 for 6 days. I mean, that's like in itself is such a cool, you know, way for a guy to make a living. But I mean, he's obviously probably making really good money, but also able to hook people up who. You know, I mean, obviously he was charging $50,000. You never would have done it, you know, and he probably could have charged more, you know?
He grew up in the DIY punk scene of Chicago.
Okay.
And even as he was becoming more successful as an engineer and then had, you know, especially after the In Utero album, everyone wanted to record with him. He didn't really change his prices. And his prices are only going like gradually up with inflation over time because he's always wanted to just be like part of the DIY punk scene and that someone can go to and like for an affordable rate of competent engineer. But to go back to what you're saying with the apartment prices and everything, I have to live with a roommate in order to afford. I can't live in I was living in a studio. It was $1,700 all included in Newmarket, and it was a nice little studio and everything, but I was working in a factory full time, getting a decent amount of money, but it was just like constant work. And just even making the amount of money I was making there, I was still barely getting by. And I actually needed the gigs. I needed the gigs to get by. That was the supplemental income that actually made it possible to stay at the studio, but I was saving no money whatsoever. Now it's a slightly better situation. I'm living with a roommate and I'm paying $900 a month.
That's great.
But
I mean, it's still a lot.
It's still a lot. But and it's a funny thing. But the one thing I wanted to mention was when we signed the lease there, they didn't update the rent price. So we saw the old rent price, and it was our current like the current for both of us is like $1,800. Yeah. Right. When we signed the lease, it was like $1,500. Yeah. Yeah. Like it was like, oh shit.
So they're jacking $300 basically just because you're new.
Yeah. Who knows? Probably from just like past 3 years, they've been probably just jacking up $100 each, year. So it's crazy. It's just absolutely skyrocketing.
Yeah. I don't think people who have lived in a house for a while and been paying a mortgage like even can comprehend like what it would be like to be even making $20 an hour. So that's, what's that, like $800 before taxes. So it's probably like $650 or something you're taking home, and then to be spending $1,700. So that's like more than 2 paychecks after taxes or whatever. I mean, it's just insane. And it's one of those things where the only reason it continues is because the majority of the people who make the laws about zoning and housing and affordable housing live in houses and aren't paying that much money. Because if they were, they would be freaking out along with the rest of us.
Yeah, no, it's scary. It's like an uphill battle for sure. If renting, just there's no equity. You're not working towards anything. It's just money out the window. Yeah,
I will say in one defense of renting, I've got a massive plumbing leak that I have got a quote for $11,000 that I have to pay. So renting is not that bad when you get a massive bill for $11,000. So, I think about that and I'm like, it's not all bad. Yeah. Home ownership, especially like this building that we're in, it's 1835. Wow. So like, it's just so old. And so like literally we've got this cast iron pipe that, is going to cost all this money to take out. And I'm like, jeez. And it is what it is, Yep. But anyway, Rainnor, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you for watching the Jon Kiper Show. Thank you for being on the Jon Kiper Show. This was fun.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. Take 2. I told myself take it easy. Maybe I was chasing a high. Waterfalls are breaking on Main Street. I can fall in love at first sight. Say it again, I'm blind. Over the edge, so I'll dive. Say it again, I'm blind. I thought I wasn't dreaming. One night was all we were given. Maybe I was missing the signs. Say it again, I'm blind. Ooh, ooh, over the edge, so I'll die. Say it again, I'm blind. Okay, I'll let you decide that you can make up your mind. I guess I'll let it slide. You take the next in line. Ooh, ooh, say it again, I'm blind. So I'll die. Say it again, I'm blind. When I see your face, I'm riding big tall waves, thinking we may embrace. It's making my heart race. You got curves like a vase, and it's got me dazed. Those wondrous eyes electrify like thunderous skies. It puts a rainbow in my mind. You did my heart in tie-dye. What can I sacrifice to be your guy? How much further can I dig into how much I dig you? Oh, your eyes are there so sexy as tonight. I don't know what to do right now. I'm just too caught up with fear to try and get you near me. When you're close enough, I feel the rush of your beauty blazing fury. with tectonic faith. I'm grinding up my plates. I might start an earthquake. Oh, loving was just haste. And tell me, is this love a waste? Have I made a mistake? Volcanoes of hope, disasters bound to be provoked. The lava love may overflow. If I keep feeling this, whoa, need an antidote. Poison love has got me choked. How much further can I dig into? How much I dig you? Oh, you're onto this seconds and I don't know what to do right now. I'm just too caught up with fear to try and get you near me. When you're close enough, I feel the rush of your beauty blazing fury. Hell yeah.
Was that a new one?
Is it recording? All right. I think you know by now I want to. Maybe too soon. 2 weeks I've known you. You're taking off your coat. Only one way this can go. But we take it slow to figure out who's in control. I want you to know I wanna be in control. I thought by now you leave me again. You're hot and cold. I'm done with this shit. We take it slow to figure out who's in control. I want you to know I wanna be in control. I wanna be in control. I wanna be in control. And I play by the book. All my friends sign the cast when you go. But we take it slow to figure out who's in control. I want you to know I wanna be in control. control. I wanna be in control. Yeah, I see. Yeah, you're flying. Good for you and your friends now. Can't believe that I'm lying in bed all alone on a Saturday. Ooh. I know, yeah, I see. You're not crying, you're happy. Well, I guess that's not me. That's not me. That's not me.